It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Wes Bellamy. If we can give him a hand, he's trying to be modest. So I'm not gonna go down the laundry list of all of his accolades, because he's a very established young man. But I want to tell a quick story about how me and Wes met. So I met Wes for the first time, the Black Millennial Convention, the political convention, which he is one of the founders, in their first year. And so at this convention, they gave me an award, which was a surprise, and I was really excited about that. But what really resonated with me about Wes, he just doesn't walk the walk, he talks the talk. So at that particular conference, we saw that, because I'm a trans woman advocate, and we saw that that wasn't necessarily a population that was in the mix. And we're all about being inclusive and like-mindedness. So the very next year, Wes was very dedicated to not only reaching out to that target, but also having them on a panel. That's the type of transformational leadership that we need, and is represented in Dr. Wes Bellamy. So again, it's my honor and privilege to bring on our keynote, Dr. Wes Bellamy.
I thought she was gonna tell y'all how she cussed me out that first year. So welcome everybody, how y'all doing? This doesn't sound like we at CBC. CBC is AKA Black All-Star Weekend. So how's everybody doing? All right, let's make sure we at the All-Star game. So I don't want to take up too much time. I actually have a group of students here, about 50 students in total, and 25 are going to come over from Virginia State University, but they're having some issues with the bus. So I caught an Uber over from the convention center, because I know if I'm late, Miss Adams will bite my head off and then talk bad about me later. So I want to make sure we show some love. But also, before I get started, if we can we give some love to Black Millennials for Flint for putting this together, Latricia. And I don't want to take up too much time, but I did want to speak to you all about something that's near and dear to my heart, and it ties a great deal into the Young, Gifted, and Green mantra, if you will. So as Latricia stated, my name is Dr. Wes Bellamy. I serve as the co-chair for the Black Millennial Convention, also with my brother Jewel Jones right there, holla man, state representative from Detroit, Michigan. But one of the more important things for us is this notion that nobody else can do this work for us. So Dr. King, and those of you who've heard me talk before when we came to Memphis, I often start most of my talks with this same saying. And Dr. King, make no mistake about it, it was a lot different from the kumbaya Dr. King message that is often portrayed now in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19 about how we all must get along. In fact, I would argue that Dr. King is one of the most radical leaders that we have ever seen. Make no mistake about it, James Brown's song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, was based on a Dr. King speech in which he actually talked about how nobody else can do this for us. And he goes on to speak about how no Johnsonian civil rights bill can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, then he or she must sign with their own pen of self-assertive manhood or womanhood into liberation. He went on to talk about how when you look in the dictionary and you see the word white, it's always something high and pure and clean. And when you look at the word black, it's often something vile and ugly and dirty. And then he stated, I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that when everyone leaves here, they will yell out, yes, I'm black, and yes, I'm proud of it. And subsequently, that's what led to James Brown's is, Say It Loud. Some of y'all a little sleep still. It's hot. Say it loud. So when we talk about being young, gifted, and green, specifically at a panel or a climate summit or a summit for action led by Black Millennials for Flint, we have to understand that there is nothing wrong with us being unapologetically black, but also speaking about the things that a lot of us don't often want to talk about, including climate change. Make no mistake about it, my friends, we are definitely in an era in which climate change is real. I can't think of a time in which you get to mid-September and it's 95 plus degrees. When you see literally around the globe, the world is at a higher degree level than it's been in history. When you look around in some of our communities and some of the infrastructure change that has been deteriorated based off of our climate, we have to understand that nobody else is going to do this for us. I think about even in my own city where I serve as vice mayor, Charlottesville, Virginia, where we had white supremacists literally come and march down our streets with tiki torches, with AR-15s, with AK-47s, with swords, with shields, talking about how you will not replace us, how Jews will not replace us. And at the time, I was the only black person on the council. They had pictures and signs and everything else about what they were going to do to this nigger because they were going to send a message to all of us. But it's very important for us to know that nobody else is going to save us. Nobody else is going to fight that kind of hate for us. Nobody else is going to stand against white supremacy, whether it be in your local streets or in the White House, for us. Nobody else is going to tell the truth about what's truly going on except us. So if that's truly how we feel and we're ready to take on that mantle, then I think that it's time for us to put actions behind our words. So what do actions look like? A wide variety of different things. And I love coming to CBC. I love giving talks. When I leave here, I got another talk at 3:15, so I'm going to be like literally dabbing in and out. I enjoy this aura, this time of being around my brothers and sisters who look like me, who are all dressed up, suited and booted. But then what do we do when we leave here? What does that action look like? It's one thing for us to come to the broccoli bar, but how many of us are going to the city council meetings demanding that our city councils take up resolutions for climate change? It's one thing for us to go to the Broccoli City Fest, which I went to. I spoke at it during the Broccoli. They had a speaking part the day before the festival. So I was there. I had a good time. But then subsequently, we went back to Charlottesville, and we put nearly $2 million into our efforts for climate change, for the environment. It's action. And I'm not saying you have to be an elected official to do this work, because we all know that when we show up and we show out, people move. But how many of us are willing to go to the meetings to get the feet on the ground to get the action started? When we come to CBC, this Congressional Black Caucus, and we get to see our friends, do we also get the opportunity to talk to our state and federal legislators? Do we know who they are? Do we have their email addresses? Do we have their phone numbers? Or when we see them, do we just want to take a pic for the gram so that we can get 500 likes? You know, if we're going to be authentic, let's be authentic with it in terms of how we're truly going to go about creating change. Patricia and my man Jamal, they invited the Black Millennial Convention over to Memphis, and we had our first regional convening. Oh, all right, y'all can give it up for that. All right. They put a lot of work into it. We had our first regional convening earlier this year, and I was enamored and really proud of how many black electeds that they had come out, how many young black folks they had come out, partake. But then I was even more impressed that after the convening was over, I saw the emails going out about this is the action steps that we're going to take. And I wonder, where's that fire for the rest of us? But some of us will say, well, you know, Wes, I'm not really a political. I'm not really a person that gets into the politics. I like to turn up. I like to, you know, I do my thing on social media every now and again. I like to like pictures on IG or tweet or Snapchat or whatever. I want the world to be different, but I don't really know what to do because that's not really my thing. So then what? And then I ask you, well, what do you do when you see that little boy or that young man who may be 21 years old with 3 children, who has locks in his hair and may wear his pants off his ass, and the older folks are saying that they don't want to talk to him because he don't listen? Who mentors him? Or that young woman who may be 19, who may have 2 children, who may be a single mom, who may like to think that the city girls is the realest thing and it's truly a hot girl summer, so she's going to scam on this rich, well, anyway. Who mentors her? Who helps her? Who helps him? You know, again, it's one thing for us to put on our suits and for us to say that we are about the action, we're about the work. But as Dr. King said, nobody else is going to do this for us, so what are you going to do? My brother Joel and I, we have these talks and these discussions. We text. We don't talk every day, but we maybe can get a word or two in every week, or those who know Joel, you can find him on IG. You send him a message there, he's going to hit you right back. And we always say to each other that we're proud of each other. So I wonder who encourages you, and who do you encourage? My family back in Charlottesville, there's a lot of sacrifice that we have to make. There isn't a week that goes by in which we don't get a death threat at our home. We've had bomb threats at our daughter's elementary schools. We've had people literally try to throw stuff at our house saying that they're going to do this and that to us. We literally live in a consistent sense of danger. There could be something that happens at any time. But we would do it all again tomorrow, because that's the sacrifice that we have to make for the movement. I wonder, thank you, but I don't need to clap, so I appreciate it. I wonder, what sacrifice are you willing to make for the movement? It doesn't have to be on this grandiose scale where you're on CNN and you're leading 10,000 people down the street. But how many of us show up at the city council meetings? How many of us show up at the school board meetings? How many of us can speak to the money that your local municipality is spending when you know that they're encouraging police officers to harm brothers and sisters who look like you and I? How many of us are willing to speak up when we see that trans person who may be non-binary getting picked on, or somebody saying slick on social media about them? How many of us are willing to say, nah, that ain't cool? How many of us, when Thanksgiving comes up and you hear that uncle of yours who pops some fly shit about how they don't like X, Y, and Z, and it's homophobic, it's xenophobic, it's misogynist, how many of us are willing to say, you know, my favorite uncle, I love you, but that ain't cool? And then do the follow-up work of, yo, let me help educate you on why that's not cool. How many of us are willing to educate ourselves? How many of us are willing to do the deep internal work to understand that we don't know everything about everything, and there's still a lot of things that we have to educate ourselves on? Therefore, it's probably better for us to listen than speak, to be a better ally. The difficult work. Again, not the kind that requires you to dress up, not the kind that have your face beat, not the kind I got a part of Africa in my head. Shit, not this kind, it's easy. I like having this part and all these parts, and then walking into rooms where people don't look like me and say, yeah, look at this. I like doing that, but I understand my privilege. How many of us are willing to do the work? Because when we consider ourselves and we identify as young, gifted, and green, or young, gifted, and black, or young, black, and talented, or black girl magic, or black boy joy, what comes after the hashtag? And if we truly want to create change, the work has to be paramount. The work has to be first. I'm gonna get out of here on this because I don't want Latricia to kick me off, because I see the faces looking kind of deep. So I know, you know, that ain't always cool, but I want to leave with this. What will your legacy be? If you died today, in 25 years from now, what will your local newspaper say about the work that you put into the community? If you died today, 40 years from now, when your children or your nieces or your grandnieces and nephews or your grandchildren or whomever read about you, what will they say? When they look on your IG archives, because that's how we all gonna be reminded or remembered, will they gain inspiration, or will they think that you was just about to turn up? Did they think that you were the memer of the year, or you put in the work in the community? Will they think and understand the plight of our people based off of what you were putting out, or will they think that you were about fun and games and jokes? We're in very serious times, my brothers and sisters, and even those who don't identify as such. We're in very serious times. When I walk outside of my door every morning, my wife sends me a text telling me to make sure I get home safe. Because we, again, live in a consistent and constant threat of harm. When I go to my school, when I go to work, every day I tell my students that I love them. And they tell me how they're worried about this or that that's going on. Because we live in a consistent threat of we don't know what's going to happen. Every day when you're brushing your teeth and washing your face and you're looking in the mirror, what does that reflection say to you? What does that reflection say to you? I promise, Latricia, I'm about finished, but I wonder, when Dr. King looks down on us from on high, and he appreciates the plight of the movement today and how far we have transcended and moved the work that he started and others before him, and the women who stood in the background and didn't always get the praise, all of the work that all those folks did, is it in vain right now? And when y'all come in here, y'all know, just like my classroom, be quiet. Will the work be in vain? What are you willing to sacrifice? I hope we're ready to win. Thank you.